Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
Yep.
And don't forget you can download the news as a podcast by searching for WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. But coming up today, we have a new United States champion.
We got the latest on the Corey Graves Mauro Ranallo situation, including Twitter beef.
The thing that really pissed Vince McMahon off at Survivor Series.
Could AEW and WWE be heading for the courtroom?
And you won't believe who WWE want on Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull sessions next. This is the news.
Suppose we better talk about this bloody Seth Rollins heel turn then.
Oh.
What a good angle. What a good episode of Raw in general, in fact. I bet, the last thing you guys thought when you woke up was you hear us praising the Seth Rollins angle, but it was bloody great. It was awesome. So Seth Rollins appears to have turned heel on last night's episode of Raw. It began with a town hall meeting in the opening segment.
That went well.
That went, yeah. The whole Raw roster, apart from Becky Lynch, interestingly, was gathered there to receive rather chastising, ranty promo thing from Seth the Chef, who was really self-important, really patronizing, really just kind of on another planet. He was criticizing people, he was pointing the finger, he was shooting on people, he was saying, you failed us, you let us down, blah, 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 blah. One by one, people started leaving the ring. Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, all these guys walk out. Seth is just lost inside his own head. He's indulging in his own ego after Raw only picked up one win at Survivor Series. Eventually, it boils down to just him and Kevin Owens. He calls Kevin Owens lazy, he questions his loyalty, he eats a stunner, and that effectively sets up the night's main event. Nice little wrestling match going on, but it's ruined. It's interrupted by the Authors of Pain. AOP about 14 minutes in. They prompt the DQ, they attack Kevin Owens. We get a double beatdown as the show is going off the air. 2 blackouts, I believe. Seth is talking trash. He's like, you gotta help me make Raw great again, Kevin. There's bullshit chants throughout the arena. There's heat in Chicago. It's going really well. This was extremely well executed, and I have nothing but praise for WWE for taking the real life resentment that has been growing towards Seth, for turning that into an angle, and also a nice little touch, a cheeky little touch that I really like, turning a rah-rah speech after that erroneous Dave Meltzer report the other week into the angle as well. This was just great.
Yeah, nothing but praise for this. I was slightly concerned at the start when he began by shooting on CM Punk at the beginning of his promo, and there was a little bit of me that thought, they're going to try and make him babyface off this. Like, he's the only one who'll stand up for Monday Night Raw, despite the fact the Viking Raiders were there, and they were like, I think you find we picked up a victory, mate.
Yeah.
Why are you having a go at us? You're the one who let us all down. But yeah, the bit at the end with AOP sparked a load of interest and speculation. We'll get to a Twitter question that actually references the future for Seth Rollins. But it's about damn time. They finally realised, this guy's so much better as a heel, and nice to see them embracing not just a heel character or like I've got no reason to explain myself to you heel character, but just, here's all the reasons why people hate him, just keep doing that. So probably, knowing how WWE ruined things, Seth's going to be mint at Twitter now.
Yeah, I hope so, man. This was just really good stuff all around. A night of really solid storytelling, an effective, what looks like a heel turn. Seth the Chef, I'm just waiting for him to pull out the laugh again. Can't wait for the laugh.
Please.
Won't even try to imitate it, because how can you?
No.
How can you?
No point. Really good episode of Monday Night Raw. We had Matt Hardy returning, and Rey Mysterio is your new United States champion. A thrilling build to this. We had Rey Mysterio taking on Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Ricochet in a fatal 4-way after AJ Styles just went, I'm not facing Humberto Carrillo. The OC came out, jumped him, took him out of the match. Everyone else came out and went, well, sod Humberto, but if you've got a match going, I'll take it. They had a fatal 4-way. It ended up with Rey Mysterio taking on, pinning Ricochet to win the right to take on AJ Styles. They had the match, and Rey Mysterio beat AJ Styles after Randy Orton, I should say, came out to equalise everything. The OC had jumped him after, I think it was a 619 that took AJ Styles into the referee. Ref goes down. Out come the OC. Typical bollocks. No, out comes Randy Orton. RKO's AJ Styles. Rey hits the frog splash. He celebrates. Dominic is there. He puts him up on his shoulders. There was a bit of me that thought he was going to do an electric chair for a horrible moment. Not yet. The Dominic heel turn isn't happening yet. But Rey Mysterio is your new United States champion, and he's only a year younger than when Bob Backlund was just mad choking out Bret Hart, if you remember.
Oh my God, that's a ridiculous little stat. How can that possibly be true? This was really good stuff. Again, like 2 banger matches in a row. Just really joyous, all-round happy stuff. Rey's been on a hell of a tear lately. He deserves a little title run. If he's not going to have the top belt, he might as well have this one. Yeah, it was really good stuff in general. A nice cathartic moment for him. And, you know, like, look what they've already set up. You could effectively you could give AJ a rematch, because even though this is the era of no rematches, they do them all the time. They could do that on pay-per-view. It could be really cool. They've also got Umberto with a shot in the chamber after getting beaten up and taking out the match. So that's a couple of banger little matches lined up already for Champion Rey. Can't wait to see what comes of this.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that Orton should get a match because he aided in that, although I don't care about seeing Randy Orton do anything other than RKO people. And considering we saw this match in WCPW, Rey Mysterio versus Ricochet is always amazing. So that's one for the future, hopefully.
Another one in the chamber. Speaking of things that are in the chamber, how would you like some bullets? We're going to get to the Twitter beef in just a second, but a little update from Big Daddy Dave of the Wrestling Observer on the Mauro, Ranallo, Corey Graves situation. You know all about that by now. But basically, Dave came on Wrestling Observer Radio yesterday, and said that the story that Michael Cole had about Mauro blowing out his voice at War Games was false. It was totally fabricated to cover the real story regarding Graves' tweet and Mauro having to take Survivor Series off and all that stuff. He says that WWE are unhappy with Graves' tweets, but there is no rift between the company and Ranallo, and Mauro is expected to return to the announce booth for NXT on Wednesday. That is good stuff, and that is encouraging to hear. But man, stuff got weird on Twitter between Corey and Dave Meltzer.
He's an insufferable prick, isn't he?
Corey Graves is not good at Twitter.com, is he? He tweeted at Dave yesterday saying, "You uninformed, false narrative pushing liar. My phone works. You're a journalist, right? You can find my number." Dave, who himself is often quite bad at Twitter, replied with a really good response here. He said, "Now that we're on day 3 of this, you could at least apologise tomorrow, show a little bit of remorse, take down the tweet, all of the above. When you mess someone up on your own team, don't think about yourself first, second, and last." Good professional stuff there from Dave. Now, he had someone saying, "Oh, this situation is like Seth Rollins when he criticised you on Twitter." But Dave said, no, it's nothing like Seth Rollins, because I was totally in the wrong there and I corrected my report. Seth had a good point. Corey then replied again saying, "Hey, I'm still waiting for that phone call," or something along those lines. Got ratioed to hell as he deserved. And this compounded what was a very bad day for him on Twitter, because at one point he got a tweet from Frank Shamrock and he seemingly tried to challenge Frank Shamrock to a real life fight. Former UFC light heavyweight champion Frank Shamrock, he basically said, "Come meet me in person." And Frank was like, "Yeah, I mean, all right, obviously." I would love to see how that meeting would go in real life. I don't think it would go as well as the savior of misbehavior, whatever the hell he calls himself, thinks. It's just good stuff, isn't it? What a day for Twitter.com.
Indeed.
Good
this is
old
what
meltdown.
happens when you try to take on us in the podcast world, by the way, just to point that out. I just don't get what Corey Graves is trying to do here. Look, we should point out, we here at WhatCulture occasionally have a go at Mauro Ranallo. His commentary can be a little bit annoying at times, and that is an understatement. And at TakeOver, yes, he had reams of rap references, and the EST of NXT is making things LIT and all that sort of thing. That's all well and good, but as much as we have a pop at him, we don't really do it too much, I don't think. I think we always are balanced in our coverage of it. And also, we don't work with him.
Yeah, you don't publicly criticise one of your own colleagues. The thing about the thing with the Mauro situation is you got to apply a bit of nuance, right? Like, so you can acknowledge that Mauro is a universally popular announcer. You can criticise his work because he puts it out there in public, but you can also say, this guy obviously has legitimate mental health issues, and we want him to be fine, you want him to be happy, you want him to be healthy. But you can also look at things objectively and go, well, like 95% of the world absolutely loves this guy.
He's passionate. I'd rather have someone passionate and a little bit annoying than.
I'd rather listen to Mauro than Corey bloody Graves, put it that way. Oh, man.
Right, let's move on to more Twitter-based shenanigans. And according to the usually reliable WrestleVote, just a pinch of WrestleVote.
Usually reliable.
Vince McMahon is not happy about the main event of Survivor Series, the match that pitted Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch versus Bayley. All the women's champions, of course, going head to head, or Shayna Baszler eventually winning that match, then Becky Lynch getting the sort of John Cena pop afterwards to stand tall as we go off air. Yes, according to WrestleVotes, they say heard even Vince himself didn't like the main event last night. Major disappointment. This is, of course, the day after Survivor Series, not right now, because last night would be Monday. That's how time works. But anyway, I felt a little bit disappointed watching that main event. When we did the live stream, we were, it's one of those ones where it's tempered by the fact that we're just having a good time doing a live stream, but it all felt, after the sort of 100 miles an hour finishes of the men's 5-on-5-on-5 match and the Rey Mysterio Brock Lesnar match, it felt weirdly paced. It didn't really have this massive, big blow-off conclusion. It was just sort of like, oh, Bayley's tapped. Oh, Becky Lynch just put Shane through a table. Oh, and I guess the pay-per-view's finished now.
The road agents, I think, let them down. It was a typical WWE triple threat where one person's just hanging about on the outside selling a punch for like 200 minutes and the other two wrestle and they all take it in turns and it's very cooperative. And yeah, it wasn't the best match they certainly could have had. It's three very talented performers, lest we forget. And it just wasn't up to the standards that a lot of people were expecting. I thought it would be one of the matches of the night. Unfortunately, it didn't quite hit that mark.
You can't really blame them for putting the main event, because I think a lot of people said that's the best match on the card.
Yeah, I was cool with it being in the main event, and Becky Lynch is the best babyface in the company as well. So it's like, But, in hindsight, didn't work out. I can easily see why people behind the scenes would be disappointed with this. It's kind of a shame because it was a big spot, but it had a crap post-match angle as well because Becky Lynch needs to get her heat back because WWE are terrified of going all in on new people like Shayna Baszler on the main roster. Kind of stunk in that regard. And it's a shame because it put a little dampener on what I thought was a really good pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Shall we move on to WWE being fannies in other departments? So, a report from Fightful Select from just the other day. You'll recall recently AEW, Cody, I almost called him Cody Graves. Cody filed for a trademark for Bash at the Beach, an old WCW property, and he was granted it back in May. Recently, AEW announced that Bash at the Beach would be held as a 9-day fan festival in Miami, starting with the 15th of January episode of Dynamite. WWE, it seems, take umbrage with this. According to Fightful Select, the company are considering taking legal action against AEW and Cody because they believe there may be some confusion with that property and their property, The Bash, which is, of course, derived from Great American Bash, which is, of course, another old WCW pay-per-view. So, interestingly, WWE haven't held an event, a pay-per-view called The Bash.
Because it's a terrible name.
Because it's a crap name since 2009. They did have an episode of SmackDown subtitled The Great American Bash to coincide with Independence Day in July 2012. But man, WWE are just doing this to be scamps, aren't they? They just want to take a little bit of time and effort away from Cody and AEW and distract them a little bit and be kind of petty. And they probably know they're going to lose this goddamn thing if they 100%. Go to court. But it's the old thing of just let's occupy their resources for a bit.
Exactly. That's a nice Bash at the Beach you got there. Be a shame if someone, I don't know, owned the rights to one of the words in there. Rubbish. Right, let's move on and talk finally about Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions. Of course, debuted immediately after Survivor Series. The Undertaker was on there. Well worth checking out on the WWE Network, in my opinion. And now there are rumors, according to PW Insider, that WWE officials are keen to secure CM Punk as a future guest of the show. Now, of course, CM Punk doesn't work for WWE right now. He works for Fox in a WWE backstage capacity, but my God, would I love to see that.
Yeah, that's like a guaranteed tune-in from a lot of people, I think. You just want to see CM Punk speaking his mind. Speaking of CM Punk, apparently he's not going to be on Backstage tonight, which is...
What?
Yeah, Triple H is going to be on it, though, so,
I don't care.
Yeah, I guess I'm not watching that crap.
As always, Triple H, I'm as good as this. I'm basically a WrestleMania main event, aren't I? No, Hunter, you're not.
It'd be interesting to see, actually, what that does to the rating and so forth. But yeah, shame, but I'd love to see him on Broken Skull Sessions. Yeah. It'd be a good interview.
And check out that one with The Undertaker, it's really good. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today relates to our headline story about Seth Rollins. It's from Ryan Williams. He says, are we getting a reform of a watered-down heel Shield with Seth Rollins and AOP? And with Seth turning heel again, where does this go?
I guess there are kind of Shield comparisons as well, because the AOP used to wear the goddamn flak jackets too, so there you go. I don't think this will be a watered-down Shield. I think it'll just be Seth with two goons that he can hide behind, and honestly, I think that's really cool. It's kind of like he's upgraded J&J Security.
I was about to say that, yeah.
I loved J&J Security, by the way, but he's recruited a couple of big beefy boys instead of a couple of like little stooges who get beaten up all the time. I think it's really good heel stuff. It's a classic format that works. We've seen it in AEW recently with Jake Hager and Chris Jericho, and also now MJF and Wardlow, which is my favorite weird name in wrestling. Yeah, I think that's what it'll be. I don't think it'll be a Shield knockoff, and I think it's going to be bloody great.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes. And we are going to be doing a roundtable with myself, Andy Murray, and Michael Sidgwick later on today, speculating on the future of Seth Rollins as a heel. Oliver Hines gives us our second question of the day, saying, with the problems going on right now, specifically the fallout from Klein and Mercury's departures, how does Ring of Honor rebuild in 2020?
Oh my God, the simple short answer is I don't think they do. They don't. I think Ring of Honor is on a downward trend at the moment, and I don't think that's reversible. We've seen it throughout 2019 with declining ticket sales, declining buzz, declining everything basically since the Elite walked out, and this was coming off the back of a record-breaking business year in 2018. They are on a terrible slide, and all the problems brought up by Joey Mercury, talking about things like the lack of percussion, the lack of concussion protocol, allegations of misconduct, allegations of much worse stuff against female employees in the company. The Kelly Klein, of course, apparently asked for a raise to the priceless sum of $24,000 a year to be a professional athlete. They said no, she got released, she got fired. Different versions of events. I've seen reports of bloody Ring of Honor officials making burner Twitter accounts just to stick up for the company. And of course, we've seen company men like Silas Young come out and defend the promotion and stuff. I think the Ring of Honor is absolutely gutted. I think they're doomed. I think the rise of AEW has just destroyed any interest in that product. I think we'll see guys like Roosh and Marty Scurll and Jeff Cobb and Bandido depart the promotion when their contracts end. I hate to see it because you never want to see wrestlers denied of a potential place to work. But I just feel like that's the way it's going, and I don't think there's any saving a product that no one has any appetite for, unfortunately.
Such a shame, because they got such an amazing roster, like you say.
It was my favourite promotion back in the mid-2000s when they had great people like Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, Kenta Takeshi Morishima, Alex Shelley. All these people doing great stuff, cutting-edge wrestling action, but it's fallen off badly product-wise, and it's a shame, a real shame.
Final question today comes from Angela Dawn, who says, do you think Jerry Lawler's commentary is inappropriate and offensive? It seems like he's desperately trying to relive his glory days from the Attitude Era.
Offensive maybe isn't the word that I personally, Andy Murray, white male, would use, because it just isn't. But I can easily see why people from other perspectives might look at that and go, yeah, no, that's gross. Like, I don't get anything from Jerry Lawler's commentary in 2019. Like, I think he's, moderately preferable to the usual third person they have in the booth who just sits there and goes, wow, and oh my God and stuff. Although I do like Dio Madden.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he was a real improvement, and I can't wait till he's like properly back in the groove after the Brock Lesnar beatdown. So no, personally, I don't find Waller offensive, distasteful, maybe a little bit, but he's certainly not as bad as he was back in the day.
I don't find him inappropriate or offensive. I just find him crap. Right, let's move on to today's, and finally, and it goes to an old friend of ours, Will Ospreay. You may have seen this tweet doing the rounds. Someone has been sharing this, saying, please quote tweet this with your most controversial wrestling opinion. I love controversial wrestling opinions. And Will Ospreay quoted it saying, my Twitter has gotten better, kinda. Which is a very, very good assessment.
Self-awareness.
Love Will Ospreay, a fantastic athlete and good banter on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like we should do WhatCulture Wrestling's very uncontroversial wrestling opinions.
I think we should.
Let us know yours in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Can't wait to hear Sidgwick.
Oh my God. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Well, actually, follow both of us. You can follow him at...
You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hexalflux, which is my new favourite word because it just sounds great, and the internet tells me means a state of confusion, which is me watching SmackDown every Saturday morning.
Yeah, fair. You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks to Andy. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.